You know, in the world of network security, some legends are built to last, and others are built to evolve. Today, we're going to trace the story of one of the most iconic pieces of hardware in cybersecurity history, the Cisco ASA firewall. We'll look at how it had to completely transform itself to fight a whole new generation of threats.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics, what a firewall even is. Then we'll get into what made the classic ASA so legendary. From there, we'll see how the bad guys changed the game, forcing security to evolve into this thing called threat-centric security. We'll do a head-to-head comparison of the old and the new, and then wrap up with why this battle is, believe me, more important right now than ever.
So before we can even begin to talk about the evolution of the firewall, we got to understand the original problem. What was the mission in the first place?
I mean, think about it. Every single second, there is just a flood of data packets flying across networks. Some of that is totally harmless. It's emails, it's business stuff, but some of it is malicious. It's an attack. So the big question has always been, how do you stand at that digital doorway and tell the good guys from the bad guys?
Well, that's where the firewall comes in. The best way to think about it is like a security guard, right? And this guard has a super specific list of rules. It checks out every single piece of traffic that comes by and just asks, are you on the list? If you are, you're in. If not, you're blocked. It is the absolute first line of defense.
And for years, one of the most trusted gatekeepers on the planet was the Cisco ASA. For network engineers everywhere, this box was the gold standard. It provided that reliable, rule-based security for everyone, from tiny little businesses all the way up to massive, sprawling enterprise networks.
But what really made the ASA a legend? Why do people still talk about it? Well, it wasn't just about simple filtering. It had some seriously advanced tricks up its sleeve for its time.
Okay, this is where the ASA really started to flex. You could do things like security contexts, which basically let you chop up one physical device into a bunch of separate virtual firewalls. Super efficient. It had active standby failover, so if one box died, another one would just instantly take over. No downtime. It could even get personal and base its rules on who you were by connecting to the corporate directory, not just your IP address. This thing was a seriously smart gatekeeper. And on top of all that, it was just incredibly flexible. You could run it in routed mode, where it would sit between different networks like a router, or, and this was really cool, you could use transparent mode. It would become a stealth firewall, kind of like a bump in the wire. The network didn't even know it was there, but it was still inspecting every single thing that passed through. This meant you could drop it into almost any network design you could think of.
But then, the fight started to change. The attackers got smarter, and they figured out a fundamental weakness in how traditional firewalls worked. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Attackers realized, hey, why are we trying to break down the front door? Instead, they started dressing up like legitimate guests who were already on the approved list. They would hide their malware, their attacks, inside traffic that the firewall was already supposed to allow. And that's the whole point. The game had changed. A security model that was based only on a simple yes or no decision at the very start of a connection, well, it just wasn't enough anymore. The gatekeeper's rulebook was officially out of date.
So this new reality, it demanded a totally new philosophy. It wasn't just about controlling access anymore. The new mission was to hunt for threats inside the traffic that was already allowed in. And this is the big shift to what we call threat-centric security.
This gave birth to the next-generation firewall, the NGFW. These new devices didn't just check your ID at the door. Oh no. It's like they follow you inside, they're listening to your conversations, they're looking inside your briefcase, they're constantly evaluating you to see if you're a threat, even long after you were first let in.
So Cisco's answer to this whole new world was firepower. And the heart of this new model isn't the access rules anymore. Now it's an intrusion prevention system and an advanced malware protection engine. Their entire job is to dig into the traffic after the basic firewall rules have already given it a thumbs up, and they use a constant stream of fresh threat intelligence to spot bad behavior as it happens.
Okay, so let's really break this down. It is a fundamental shift in thinking. We are moving from being focused on access to being obsessed with threats.
This table just makes it perfectly clear. The traditional ASA, it was access-centric, right? It cared about IP addresses and ports. Firepower Threat Defense, or FTD, is threat-centric. It's looking for danger inside that approved traffic. The ASA's engine was simple packet inspection. FTD's is that powerful IPS and malware protection combo. The ASA made its decision once, at the very beginning. FTD is making decisions continuously, throughout the entire session. And maybe most important, the ASA relied on static rules that you had to write yourself. FTD is fueled by dynamic, constantly updated threat intelligence. It's a whole new ballgame.
Now, I promise this is not just a history lesson. This whole evolutionary story is critical because, guess what? The attackers, they never, ever stop evolving either. And here is the proof of why this all matters right now. Just recently, a critical zero-day vulnerability was found. And zero-day means the bad guys are already using it before there's even a patch. Now get this, it affected both the old-school ASA software and the modern firepower software. It just goes to show you that no platform is ever completely safe. The severity score for this thing, a 9.1 out of 10. That's about as bad as it gets. This flaw, known as CVE 2025-2362, basically let an attacker waltz right past the security for any device that had remote access VPN turned on. It's just a brutal reminder that security isn't a destination. It's a never-ending cycle of defense, discovery, and adaptation.
So we've seen this incredible evolution, right? From a simple gatekeeper with a rulebook to an intelligent threat hunter. But now, with attackers using AI to create brand new kinds of malware and perfect phishing attacks, we have to ask the next big question. If the threats themselves are becoming intelligent, what does the next evolution of our digital gatekeepers have to look like?